Oh gosh, how about that for a thumbnail? My eyes have gone to the dogs. This looked like a vibe. How weird and interesting is that? 100% viscose. The Chinese lied to me. You're not always going to win. Oh, thank you for gracing me with your presence. I've been on a journey of discovering the art of clothing making. I'm here to teach you how to thrift sensibly. You guys know I love vintage, so now let me show you a proper vintage tag. Have a look so that you seal it into your brains. It's been embroidered on, and it's got like a weird this. It doesn't have a size 10, 8, whatever. Okay, interesting. It's got an extra little button, and it then tells us it's polyester. It's like cotton on, but it's like gone rogue. Cotton on, gone rogue. Don't be fooled. Just because it's made at cotton on doesn't mean it's all cotton. What to thrift, how to find quality, what different materials are and what you want and what blends you want, and why polyester from the 1950s and 60s, for instance, this dress, is so much better, and we still want these, than the polyester from nowadays. Have a look at this one. This is another vintage piece from Topics. For goodness sake, when last was Topics around?
It is Linda here. So, to find Topics South Africa has been a mission. Nothing seems to come up about its origins. I don't know if it was an international brand.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up. And look, it doesn't have a... They say if you really want to see if something's vintage, it doesn't have a label, a care label. It just has this. Tells you how much around that bustier area, and there's nothing else.
So I told ChatGPT that it was the old type of polyester, and it says, well, polyester became very common in mass market dresses from the 1970s to the 1980s. It wanted me to check for certain things, the zipper type, because metal zips and certain zipper brands indicate pre-1980s. The seams and linings, hand-finished seams. Then it asked me to give it a picture of the label. I said there's no care label, and it only has a label with a figure and the number 84. Nice detail. That single label clue tells us a lot when combined with the fabric polyester. Below, I'll give you a plausible explanation for the 84. Okay, size or measurement. Some labels use numbers that represent the size or the body measurement. 84 centimeters would be the bust or the waist. This is more common in European or boutique sizing systems. Does it have a metal zipper? Yes. Hand-finished hems. Yes, that one's got a hand-finished hem. Overlocked serge seams were common in the 1970s and 1980s, so it's pre-1970s. Woven thread labels are more common in earlier decades, and it is a woven or thread label. The style of the logo figure, simple line drawing as stylized as 80s graphic. Quick confidence estimate for your dress. Polyester plus label with figure plus 84 plus no care label, most likely the mid-1980s. And ChatGPT is moderately confident about this. And now it asked me to send it a picture, so I sent it that picture. Which means the bust is 84. That's a fantastic photo. It's actually quite telling. Late 1970s to the mid-1980s. Dating conclusion. Most probably manufactured circa 1984, decades 1980s, origin South African. Possibly Topics label or one of its sublines. It has a cinched waist, which would align with 1983. Now it wants a picture of the whole dress. Let's see if I can give it that.
That's vintage for you. I'll be trying this one on, but as vintage as it is, look. The pleats are still in it. The pleats. How? After so many washes, are the pleats still there? Because it's polyester, and it's proper polyester. Yes, sirree, Bob. Look at the front of that. Woo! Can't wait to show you that.
So I sent it the fabric, picture of the fabric. Material looks crimp textured polyester, often known as crimpline or four-trail knit, synthetic fabric popular in the 1970s through the mid-1980s. This ribbed or pleated look, it was a big trend in the 1982 to 1985. The muted neutrals tell us it's the early to mid-1980s. Okay, summary. Your dress is almost certainly an authentic South African early 1980s piece, probably made around 1984. from a smaller local label that produced stylish but affordable polyester dresses for department stores and boutiques. It's a lovely example of that transitional moment in fashion between the 1970s synthetics when it met the 1980s romantic florals. A very wearable, very collectible vintage. Then I sent another photo and it said, your dress is textbook early to mid 1980s with the oversized botanical print in warm tan and coffee tones. Reflects the refined romanticism of the 1980s, early 1980s. The cut, 1983 to 1985, with the tie or frill pleated skirt. Common day dress silhouettes. Understated and elegant before big branding became dominant in the later 1980s. So the South African labels didn't include care instructions until the late 1980s. That was very good, ChatGPT. Found it.
This is definitely polyester, but this is what I was trying to show you. Look at the pleats, still there. Look at this cute little frill. It looks like it's a bit of a drop waist, maybe. I saw it and I thought, oh, guys, look at this. It's hand sewn. The hem is hand sewn. If that's not vintage, I don't know what is. There is no label. All we know is somebody made this for topics. Oh, look at this. Look at the neck. Look at the way they've done the inside of the neck and the outside of the neck. Look at the way they've done the shoulders. Look inside here, how beautiful and neat that is. Straight lines. This is when they were making things, even this little frilly bit here. Look at the way they sewed that down. Straight stitches. Look at this overlocking here. But what I still can't get over is, as old as this thing is, look at that. They did a seam on the edge. And then that's the inside. Zigzag. This was an old machine making this dress. I can tell you right now, even though this is polyester, it feels incredible. Dainty. Look at the way, this is an absolute direct, good stitching. Look at the line. Look at the way they made a plan to make the patterns match. As I said, look at the zigzag here. And how on earth they got this to stay. This is polyester, guys, and it is amazing. It's not, okay, so when I was researching, the old type of polyester, the one that was made in the 40s and 50s, when these dresses were probably made, the polyester wasn't that smooth polyester that you get, like this. This is the new polyester, okay? Smooth, shiny a bit. That's the new polyester. Look, if you compare it to the old polyester, there is like a texture to it. If you look up very close, look at that. I don't know what they were doing with it. Have a look through, if you can see through. Can you see? Wow, this is beautifully made. Look here. Look at the way it flows. Polyester doesn't do this. The new polyester. Look how it dances on the body. Okay, guys, I'm officially absolutely blown away by this. These sleeves are perfect. They've been taken in a little bit, but they're not tight taken in. It's like a tennis dress. You can all... Nah. This is gold. This is vintage gold. Wow. Look at the way they've done that sleeve. It is impeccably made. Someone took real pride in making this. And as I said, even down to hand stitching. Look at that. There you can see them even bigger there. Hand stitching the hem. Incredible. This, vintage. Vintage. Look at that. I don't know what it says, but it looks cool. And all it has on it is 38 or a 97 centimeter. It does have the care instructions on the back, but I mean, this is a tag of authenticity. Vintage, baby, vintage. If I have not convinced you yet, stop shopping new. Are the patterns lining up? Yes, look. Look at that. Those are all lining up. Look how it's French seams. Everybody, we have French seams. This is a quality piece. This, of course. How does it wear? Ah, it smells like vintage. This is definitely silk. From me to you, thank you for joining my closet. I'm always looking for good vintage men's cotton long sleeve button-ups. When it's got this many labels and it's not plasticky, it's more materially, then I think it's important. 90% cotton, 96% cotton and 4% elastine. Now that is rocking. They even give you extra buttons. Now you know. This will be a staple. You can see the cotton is good quality. It's got a very fine, what do you call it? Thread count is very high. Look at this button. Now that's another way you can see quality. The buttonhole is very nicely finished and done. Tommy Hilfiger, so we know this is a great brand. And it's the old Tommy Hilfiger. At the back, it's got that V there, beautifully made. Look at these buttonholes. Okay? They even added different color thread. Look at the way this has been stitched on the inside. You cannot see an edge to this. They've done French seams here. Even on the front. This is quality. Everything is straight. The threads are lined up straight. And on the inside, can you see any open? No, look at the inside of this top. Nothing is left open. Everything has been closed off. Look, even the shoulders have been French seamed. You are quality. It's just an example of good quality seams. Double button. Look at the buttonholes. Another third button there. Can't go wrong with vintage. I'd say this is possibly 1980s, 1990s at the latest. Soft, so soft. That is absolute craftsmanship. Look at the sides. See that? Look at that cool little, the way they sewed it with French seams. Sure, you're a winner. It's not always the name brand. Certainly is not the name brands after 2001. Look for vintage name brands. Look for Tommy Hilfiger. Look for all of them. But there must be before the 2000s, if possible. Vintage label. Vintage. Okay. There are no care instructions. It says Miss Duval Origins. Who knows who that is? Look. Look at the way this has been made. Look at this. The double stitch there. Look at these button press on. Excellent quality. I would say stainless steel. Definitely buttons. Look at the inside. There is no, it's been French seamed. The only place you start seeing where your overlocker has gone is on the inside over there. But they finished it off so nicely over here. Look at that collar. Oh, it's a thing of beauty. Let's look at the shoulders even. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Look how the seams are perfect. Even with ribbed stretch material. Perfectly straight there. Look at the detail on the pockets. They've added there's nothing open. Look at that. It's been folded over and sewn somehow. Who knows? From the inside, I think. And then they sewed it all together. Look, here's the pocket. Can you pull the pocket out? No, you can't pull the pocket out because it's been sewn down on the bottom. This is what I'm talking about. Quality. You can't see anything on the inside. It's been closed off as well. You know, this V is very 80s. You getting me? Can you remember those women that had these V sort of dresses with these big, puffy shoulder pads? Look at that. Hiya! The quality of craftsmanship is just, when they made clothes, they made them good. Look at those straight seams. The way this one ends. So beautifully. We're talking designer brand there. There's your nice French seams. Everything is neatly tucked away underneath the lining. So beautifully done over there. Comes up to here. Look at the way they've done this extra. They've put this, tacked this on, but look at the extra they've put into that. That is your V. Look how beautifully that's been done. Look at these straps. That was plaited. I'm sure it was hand plaited. Oh, it feels amazing. This is also another good find. Let me show you the vintage label, polyester as it comes. It's been beautifully made though. Look at that. Straight lines. It's got these lacquer cool, 80s. Look at the buttons. Wicked. This is that good quality polyester. Okay, let me show it to you. Can you see? Listen to the sound of it. Look at the polyester. It's got a texture to it. Look at the way they've done those sleeves. Even this, it's got like a crepe look to it. That's when they say the polyester is vintage. Press studs in a belt. Look at the belt. That's wow. I can only appreciate this. Somebody was trying to tell a story through a piece of clothing here. This was someone who took time and care to make this. No care label. Oh wow, look at the back. Just have a look at the back before I put it on. It's got like that pleating thing. This might be the most wild outfit I've ever tried. How unique and crazy is this? This is very, very 80s. Very 80s. Why do people want to look more boxy? I'm telling you it's going to come back though. This dress is going to come back in style. This weird, wacky, crazy colors and flappy things. Mark my words. Fashion goes in circles.
All right, let's look this one up. Rialto International was not a high-end fashion house, but the label is associated with mid-range, ready-to-wear garments, often found in department stores. Labels like this with the serif type and handwritten style script were common in the late 1970s to the early 1990s. Strong shoulder design, short sleeves, vivid jewelry-toned prints. This pattern is very typical of the 1980s to early 1990s. Bold, abstract florals, paisley, and vibrant color clashes. Semi-peplum jacket look, gold-toned buttons, all scream. 1987 to 1993. This was a popular era for matching two-piece sets and dresses with coordinated jackets or overlays. The label says 92 centimeters 36, which is a European sizing format commonly used in European and international garments in the late 20th century. Estimated date of manufacture is circa 1988 to 1992. All right, so now I asked ChatGPT, can you talk about whether this is from the 1980s or the 1990s fashion trends? Great question. This outfit sits right on the cusp of the two major fashion decades. That's so cool. But based on the visual evidence, I would say it's more aligned with the late 1980s fashion. Let's break it down. Bold colors and loud print, psychedelic swirling paisley print was usually popular in the mid to late 1980s. In the 1990s, the prints became a little bit more subdued. Shoulder emphasis. The slightly structured puffed shoulders and loose-fitting sleeves are classics of the 1980s styling. Shoulder pads, even not heavily used here, an exaggerated top volume was still prominent through 1989. The cropped layered jacket, bolero-style overlay jacket, was especially mid to late 80s. It references formal wear and day wear from that era. Polished but dramatic. The gold decorative buttons, shiny gold, brass-toned buttons were all over in the late 80s, power suits and dresses. Why it could be early 1990s is that many 1980s trends carried into the early 1990s, particularly in day dresses and workwear. The matchy-matchy set and the use of rayon poly blends remained common in the early 90s. Final verdict. This garment is firmly a late 1980s fashion item, likely 1988 to 1990. It reflects the maximalist, color-forward, shoulder-accentuated styles of that era. If it appeared in the 1990s, it would have been right at the beginning when the 80s trends were still phasing out. Thanks, ChatGPT. That's cool. Yay! We've got to learn how to buy better clothes. I've got to learn how to buy better clothes. Let's have a chat. Let's have a chat about clothing and how to thrift the best.